Hey, all you holistic hipsters out there, it's that time. So grab your chalice of choice and sit back and sip along with us. We would love to welcome you to the Tea Podcast, where we spill the tea on all things holistic in the pet grooming industry. Let me introduce you to our hostesses with the mostesses.
She is the socialite of skin and coat care, Ms. Michelle Knowles.
And the queen bee of all things oily, Ms. Melissa Conti-Diener. Brought to you by TheOilyGroomer.com. Are you searching for a new and more mindful way of grooming? Interested in understanding how to grow your grooming business with a more holistic and organic approach? Please contact Melissa Conti-Diener at TheOilyGroomer.com so that you can set up a meeting and bring balance and prosperity to your life. And AllThingsPaw.com. Intermediate and advanced courses in pet esthetician work, fear recovery, animal handling, and more. Get your learn on with All Things Paw. Also, classes with Melissa, online and self-guided, intuitive energy work, transitional therapy, and compassionate touchpoint therapy, and more. And the Herbal Paw Pet Apothecary, tailored for the individual pet, phone consultations, history gathering, and the home of the Herbal First Aid Kit.
Now, let's get the tea party started.
All right. Well,
Morning.
here we are.
Yeah.
Here we are again.
All that we have to stop meeting like this.
Oh, I think we should start meeting like this all the time.
All the time. Yeah. I think you're right. Oh, who's that?
This is Tessa.
I was like, is that little Tessa? Oh.
She's very, very needy today for some reason.
Well, me too.
She has to make sure that I'm okay by licking furiously.
Yes.
She knows I cry sometimes at some commercials or whatever. So whenever she hears music, she has to come and check on me to make sure that I'm okay.
Make sure that you are not in an emotional state that requires you to be.
And she's like, okay.
Checked in on by a dog.
Right.
My office door is closed because we have Bibbies behind me. So
Bibbies.
yes, the nursery is set up. So Mom and Bibbies are in there. We have puppies on Friday night. So we have 4. Yeah.
Precious little jewels.
Little bitty bitties in there. They're being quiet, which means that everybody's good, getting enough everything. So nursing. I'm nursing on my cup of tea. What's in your cup?
Tell me about yours since you lifted yours up.
Well, I have one of my favorite cups. My daughter gave me this cup, my daughter Nina. It says, let me overthink about it, because that is me to a T.
I love it.
And not only using nursing as a segue, I'm nursing possible kidney stone. So I'm feeling just lovely today. So I have my raspberry, cranberry, and it begins with an H. I can't think of it now. It's a flower. Hibiscus.
Mm-hmm.
So sorry, I have to give myself little clues about what's going on in my brain. So hibiscus tea. So that's what's in here. So it's hopefully it will help with my kidneys, who are not always fond of me, and they like to make stones. I wish they would make diamonds or emeralds, but
right. I feel that.
Fortunately, most of the time I just make gravel, and it's very painful.
Mm-hmm.
So, but we're going to go see the doc later today, so I can get some meds that will help with this.
Absolutely.
So, what is in your cup, Michelle?
So I am using my owl cup.
Oh, it's a cute one.
And I love this one because it's got the little bird on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. There you go. So I just stare at the bird and sip my tea. This
Yeah.
is, I'm trying to find an appropriate name for my favorite blend. It's got like 7 to 11 different herbs, but it's mostly the orange and cinnamony clove kind of thing, with some lung clearing, because I'm experiencing some allergies now that everything is starting to bloom here.
Well,
And
we had so
it's
much
just,
rain
I
too.
just love it. Yeah, and I overwintered my indeterminate tomato and my pepper plant from last year, the ones that I loved the most, that
Right.
they survived and they've already got baby peppers and flowers on them.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I expect to have a decent
Crop.
pack of peppers.
Pack of peppers. I have some oregano, mint, basil. My rosemary is doing phenomenal. It always does. I actually had to cut it way back earlier,
Mhm.
before our actual cold season came in.
Right.
But I have all those other ones in little pots right now, and we're just getting them going. So I'm
Mhm.
hoping that I'll be able to move them into. I'm going to just primarily do. I've taken inspiration from you. I'm going to primarily do my herbs in the containers
Mhm.
instead of trying to plant them outside. And I think I'm just going to do some. I have a list of florals that I want out front under my eucalyptus tree.
Mhm.
So, but I'm going to try really hard to stick to the containers for
Mhm.
my herbs.
Yeah, my dragon fruit overwintered very well. I
No,
don't, they're still tiny, so I don't expect any actual fruit. But I think they're going to have a huge growth season. And who knows, by fall, I may get a couple of dragon fruit. I've got
I
4
know.
different varieties.
I was just going to say that's what's nice is that if you have a few different varieties,
Hmm.
it's nice to see
So
what they'll
we'll
produce.
see. And my blackberry bush is flowering.
Oh,
So I
nice.
may have a crop of those. I've given up on the raspberries. They don't like me. They don't like their pot. They don't like anything I've done for them.
Right.
And they left.
Wow. I have a pomegranate that is in full bloom right now. So we'll
Nice.
see. I should
Nice.
be getting pomegranates, which I'm not a huge fan of them, but they feed the birds that come
Mhm,
over
mhm.
to our bird feeders and stuff. So
Yeah, I left all my broccoli plants after I cut the main heads off. I just left them to flower because they fed all the bees. I
yeah,
had so many bees. So I'm like, yeah, now they know there's food here.
yep.
Come and sip. Come and
Yep.
sip.
I have a hummingbird feeders out there also,
Mhm.
where I have tons and tons of aloe in the pots out front. So and they're in full flower. You know how they
Mhm.
get the big stalk with
Mhm.
the orange buds on them.
Mhm.
So yeah, so I've seen some of the hummingbirds and of course the bees, but the bees never returned as well, as much as they did when I had all my lavender. But that finally went, so I need to get some more out there. So
Yeah,
that
get some borage. Borage is probably the best. I just plant it in a big pot right in the middle of the garden, and I'm like, come
right,
on.
yeah.
So
I'm not afraid of them. So many people are afraid of bees, but I'm not really. I mean, I have a healthy. I'm not like come to me, but you know, I have healthy respect for them. But I'm not afraid of. But I'm not afraid of bugs. Are you?
am.
You're not a like
I'm not really afraid of bugs. I mean, I don't want to hold them and pet them and let them
right.
crawl all over me. But I've saved so many bees from our pool,
Mm,
and I think they've gone back and they understand that I'm the friend.
right.
So I make sure that I make them as comfortable as possible, and when I can, I save them.
Right.
I'd like to have, this is my dream for this summer. I want to create like a little floating garden in the pool
Oh,
that
okay.
just has a little moss and this, that, and the other, and has just enough water with some pebbles in it so that the bees and the butterflies and everything can come and take a sip. Even
Right.
though it's chlorinated, I mean, they're in there trying to drink it anyway. So
Right.
I just want to give them more of a chance.
Just a little platform. To land
Yeah,
on.
yeah, just
Yeah.
something that I can, when it rains or at night when the pump goes, I can just pull it out, set it aside, and put it back in.
Oh, that's so cute. Just
So that's what I'm going to try to do.
a little floating island for
Yeah,
them.
yeah.
next thing you know, Michelle will be making them little drinks with umbrellas in there.
I really would. I really would. Poor little things. They got a bad rap.
Yeah, they do. They do.
I even have a hornet friend that has brought other hornets, and they absolutely are so respectful. And I can't even tell you, we've been in the pool, and since I'm thinking, this is how I feel about it. There's like hippopotamus and alligators and all kinds of things that live in a pond, and they go
Right.
drink from a pond, and they have an understanding that just as long as you're still and don't try to go for them, they will be so respectful, get their little drink, and fly away to make their paper
Right.
nest. So I had one hornet that probably visited us through its life cycle, and now it's got a son or a daughter or however it is that they're sexed that come and drink from the pool. They sometimes will buzz us just to look at us, and then they'll just fly away. So as long as you stay pretty still. I think some of the bees want to land on me though. And I don't know if I'm emitting a pheromone or if I have a color, that they're attracted to. But that's the only thing I don't like. I don't want them to land on me. I'm like, why? I have nothing to offer you. Here, look what I did for you. Go over there.
Go away. I try not to, if I know I'm going to be out gardening, I try not to put any perfume on or even any of the oils that I use, just because it will attract them to me. And it's a false sense of security for them. They're like, it's lavender. No, it's not.
It smells so good.
Yeah.
And then they got nothing.
Silly human. Yeah.
Right.
So what's our topic today?
Oh, I think our topic is
pardon any squealing we have from over there. Somebody probably lost the connection from the from the nursing. Yeah.
So yes means yes, except when it doesn't. Today we are discussing offers that you may have in the course of your career. Offers from different companies to be an ambassador or to come and speak or whatever. Basically, it's about what is a good offer and how to maintain your value through the offer. Just like when we are asked by a client to do a certain dog, we have a price. We tell you all the time, know your worth. Don't underestimate what your time is worth, and so later on you may be asked to speak or do a demonstration with someone, and you arrive at a value for your time. You have spent all that time educating yourself. You spent money on, education, on tools, on learning how to do what you do better and better. You should be able to value yourself and your time in speaking and in demonstrating, just like you would for a client who comes in for a service.
Yeah, I think it can go either way. I mean, how many times are you talking to a client on the phone or through text messages now, as people can connect with you more that way, or social media messaging or whatever. And you say, yes, sure, I have an opening. And yes, I am taking new customers. And yes, I'm familiar with that breed or that style. And then you get into the negotiation of it. And then, although you've been saying yes for the whole conversation, suddenly you're no longer saying yes because they want it for less than what you're willing to do the work for.
They change the parameters. Yeah.
Right. They change everything up on you, and they expect, oh, she's amicable, or he. They're easy. So
let's see if we can whittle them down to know, 2 sticks of gum and a cup of coffee.
Right.
Yeah. And you know us well enough by now to know that we do value what we do. It is our career. It is something that we make a living from. So no, I will not speak for 8 hours straight with no break for 2 sticks of gum and a cup of coffee. It's not going to happen.
Right.
I think that is kind of a smack in the face to me, as well as any other groomer plying their trade or educator. So I really believe that we need to value what we do. and charge accordingly. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. This is how we make.
I don't think there's anything wrong with if you said yes in the beginning and then the parameters change to change that
Mm.
and not feel stuck in a decision,
Mm-hmm.
or an obligation. I've
Right.
I've heard that quite a bit from those of us that are in the industry and that do uh, educational things or do demos or whatever it is that they're doing, and they'll be like, well, I agreed, so now I'm obligated, even though
Well, I mean, if you sign a contract, you're obligated.
absolutely, but they
but
can't
at least
change
when
the
you
contract
right.
in the middle of the
Exactly.
once
So if
it's
you've signed a
signed,
contract,
it's
you've
signed.
agreed on those terms.
Right.
Right.
That's what
Yeah.
I mean, is that
Mhm.
when before you've gotten to that point and the terms continuously change.
Right. And get
Or if
lower
your
and
contract
lower.
runs out and you're with a particular company or brand or whatever, and your contract runs out, they don't renew your contract in a sense where you come up with new terms for this
Mhm.
new length of time and that kind of stuff. And now you're kind of in that limbo and they just start to change things on you or make adjustments that you're not happy with.
Right.
Just because you did it before doesn't mean you have to do it again.
Mm-hmm.
So I think a lot of us feel very obligated, and we struggle with the fact that we are afraid to pass up an opportunity because then we're ungrateful.
Mm-hmm. Or we're afraid maybe if I pass this opportunity up, maybe there won't be another one.
Right.
There will always be another one.
Yeah.
You just keep doing you. But if you continuously give away your time and your value for free or for very little compensation, you cheapen what it is that you're working towards.
Right.
And I don't think we're cheap. I don't think that we're Discount Betty. I don't think that we're any of those things. I think we are knowledgeable professionals who need to be paid for their time, just like any other person. So I'm just, there will come a time when you just have to say, you know what, the parameters have changed, maybe 2, maybe 3, maybe even 4 times, and it gets
Right.
smaller and smaller and smaller with the compensation. And I'm just not interested in this opportunity, but thank you. There's nothing wrong with saying that. You're not if you haven't signed a contract, you're not obligated to do the thing.
No, and I think that sometimes it's like so many things come in at once, or you're sitting through a season of change or kind of a season of drought where you don't have a lot of opportunity coming in right at that moment in time. So then we're grasping at things that we feel like, oh, I haven't done anything in a while, so I need to do something.
Mm-hmm.
I need to take something. And so we lower our standards for that. You understand what I mean? Like we start to rethink what our worth is because we feel like we're desperate and we're allowing desperation to take over instead of saying, this is my rate. And this is what, or these are my terms, not even my rate, but just your term, whatever your terms are. And so
I think we lost you just for a moment. So yeah, when the terms are unreasonable, start walking back on your actual hours that you're wanting. So I mean, it's a win-win. If they want you to speak and they want you to demo, and they've offered you 8 hours for a set fee, and then they start backtracking on the fee, say, absolutely, I'll do that for less hours.
Right.
You have full capability and full accountability to say, this is what I'm willing to do for the amount of money that you're offering me.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with that. And there's nothing wrong with that in a salon.
No, and it relays both ways.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, your time equals money, or your time equals a fee for your time. And obviously your fee is going to fluctuate with the amount of experience and knowledge that you're bringing. So when you first started out, your fee may have been X, and now it's 10 years later and your fee is XYZ because you've invested Y and Z since you started at X.
Yeah.
And so we need to start to look at that for those of you that do things like take all these, pay the monthly fees on things like Mary's Positive Education. You know, that's an investment.
Absolutely.
And it's a business expense. And so that needs to be factored into when you say, oh, I want to do this or that. You need to factor that in, that that's a cost that keeps your business running. Even if you're a groomer, house call, veterinary, mobile, whatever it is, you know, brick and mortar, that you are investing in your skill level. And so at the end of every year, you should look and see what you've invested and how that is bringing additional income into whatever you're working in, you know, whatever venue you're working in.
Yes.
As a salon groomer, I think that if you are taking these additional classes and you are doing continuing education, whether it's online, whether it's in person, and in person is always so much more. You have to factor in travel costs and all the things that come with going somewhere to go learn. Online makes it so much easier for us to access those things. But you need to sit down at the end of the year and say, look, I've invested X amount of dollars and now I'm able to take on these types of grooms or these types of clients, or I've elevated our service from basic spa to, you know, now we're into full on skin and coat esthetician work, or you know what I mean? There's so many,
or whatever your niche is,
right? Whatever
you know, if you've improved a skill, you should be compensated for it,
right? And you shouldn't be afraid to say these things to, if you are not the shop owner, you shouldn't be afraid to say these things. If you are the shop owner and you're investing in yourself and you see your groomers that work with you also investing in, there should be some way for you to compensate them for that growth. And that's important. I think that gets overlooked a lot in our industry.
And I just want to remind everyone, it's not just your education or what you've learned or what you've invested in your tools or whatever it is that you're doing. Literally, when you agree to do something, you're not just trading your education or whatever, you're speaking or whatever. You're trading life minutes.
Yes.
That are irretrievable. Your life minutes, you're in the investment in what you're doing. You're trading life minutes for compensation. Otherwise, you could be spending those minutes with your family, with your dogs, reading a book, relaxing in your garden, doing the things that you love to do. So it's more than just a monetary compensation.
Right.
You're investing your time, which you cannot get back. So, when I speak out and someone says, oh, well, you know, what is your rate? And at first they may be taken aback by my terms, but if I have to leave my blind husband and my dogs and my garden and all the things that I have to do here, the money that I will lose by being gone, plus a little bit of my life minutes, justifies my price, justifies my fee. And I believe that. And if they're not willing to pay that, then I'm not willing to do the gig. You know, I'm just, okay. You know, these are my terms. If you want me to come, this is what I'm worth. This is what I will trade for doing that for you. Because it is a contract. It is a trade, you know, of my services. And then you are compensating me for being away from all the things that would make me that amount anyway. So, you know, life minutes are big. Life minutes are expensive, as far as I'm concerned.
And it's the same when you're negotiating for a position, a job. Yes. Because it is a job, whether you're speaking, whether you're demoing, whether you're actually showing up to groom clients' dogs. It it literally is a negotiation that you're saying, this is what my time is worth.
Mm-hmm.
And then factor in your skill level as well. I have said this on numerous occasions to my students who always ask me, when we first start with grooming, with baby groomers, which some groomers hate that term, but they literally, I always tell them, listen, you guys are literally in kindergarten, you know? And so we start out with basic tools. You know, we have a corded clipper, we have ball tip shears, we have all the things, and they have to learn how to use those instruments proficiently before they should be purchasing high-end, you know, tools. And I tell them all the time that it is not the tools can enhance your skill, but it is the skill that is what comes first. And I actually asked Jonathan David one time, because he's an amazing scissor maven. I mean, like, I wrote a blog post about him and about how he could literally make a show quality poodle haircut, do a full continental, I think, with like garden shears and a, you know, bush pruner. You know, he just has
the eye for the
proportion. Exactly. He just has the skills. And that, to me, and I asked him, do you think that is it the shears and the products, or is it the skill? And he literally said to me, it has to be the skill first, so that you're able to use the products and the tools correctly, and to accentuate what your skills are, and to be able to show what your skill is. And so that really resonated with me, because everybody comes in with a different skill level. And so when you're starting to look at those things and you look at where your career is, and if you're starting here and now you've come all the way over here, why are you still charging the same thing you were when you first started?
Exactly.
You know, why are you not demanding more? You've definitely demanded more of yourself to obtain those skills. So just because you bought a shiny new clipper doesn't necessarily mean that you deserve more of a fee. But if you've gotten the fire lit underneath you to continue and go on with educating yourself to be able to use additional tools that validate your education and experience, that is only, I look at it like, oh, I always joke around and say I'm the queen of everything, but it's when you actually put that crown on that now everybody can see you're the queen, you know?
Well, I feel like this. Everybody has a niche in their grooming.
Right.
Some people really love to do breed trims, so they follow the standard. Some people like competition, so they excel, you know, at that perfect trim, so they can go on and win prizes and all the stuff that entails. Some people love to do skin. Some people love to do work with aggressive dogs. Some people just meet the needs of their client while keeping their own integrity.
Right.
Negotiating a fee with the client is whatever they're willing, whatever value they see in you.
Right.
So even those who don't strive to be the very, very best, as long as they're meeting the needs of their clientele, they can negotiate the fee with those clients.
Right.
I think that's really important not to forget, because I see in the groups sometimes too, they're like, well, why is she charging that much? That doesn't look like anything.
Right.
Her clients, she's everything. They see her value and she asks for a certain fee and they're willing to pay it. So if you are meeting the needs of your client, you're a good groomer. If you know, within a parameter, of course, not hurting the dog and not chopping them up and causing all kinds of trouble. But if the dogs are happy and the client sees value in your services and you charge a high fee, then go you. Go you. I remember I worked at a vet office at one time, and the clinic manager was like, and this was way back a long time ago. He kind of was pissy about it. He was like, "Did you know that your groomers are making like $20 an hour?" And I looked at him and I went, "Fantastic!" And then just kept walking down the hallway. Not putting up with that. What should they make minimum wage just because
Right.
you think that, because you don't value them? I value them, and if they can get $20 an hour, if they get $50 an hour, what's it to you? You're making a percentage of their money. That means you're getting more. Run along, and
Well,
it
don't you
just
think a lot of times people do not see the value in what we do? Just as an
sometimes,
industry,
huh?
just as an industry.
Yeah. Yeah, they don't see the value unless they can't have you anymore. Then they're like, "Well, you did it the very best. I like you, but the other person only charges $30 for that service." I'm like, "Well, then keep going there if you only want to pay 30.
Right.
My price is 50 or 125 or
Whatever.
whatever it is that you value your time and your skill level at.
Right.
That's what they should pay. And you're doing it right when you have a full clientele and your table's full. When you don't, you might want to rethink your fees. If everybody is saying, "Oh, that's too high for what I'm getting," then they don't see your value the same way that you do. And that's a good time to reevaluate what you're offering. Maybe don't come down on your price, but fill in the value for the clientele.
Right.
Then once they know your value and agree that you are valuable at that fee, you won't have a problem. They'll talk and refer you, and you'll get more clients, and they'll understand what it is that you offer. But it's a fine line. It's a dance. I'm going to say it's an absolute dance to try and find that beautiful, happy medium between what your fees are, what you're willing to do, and the happiness of the client. The client should be happy. Now, you're going to find clients that just aren't happy with anything. Move along. Tell them to move along. You don't have enough life minutes to deal with things like that. You don't have to bend over backwards to please somebody if you don't want to. I think there are many salons I know of that don't do any skin and coat. They're like, no, I can't. It's too much because they are concentrating on another niche. Perfectly fine. Perfectly fine with that. That's what they want to do with their minutes, and that they should be allowed to form their niche however they see fit.
I just think that it's the title. Yes means yes, except when it doesn't. Have you ever felt like you say yes to everything? You're always saying yes. And then you feel like either you have given away too much of yourself or those precious life minutes for things that really aren't serving you.
Right.
And you feel obligated, and you're like, well, I'm here, but it's not really where I want to be. And this isn't really what I want to do. And you're dotting all the I's and crossing all the T's to put yourself into positions where you can do what you want to do, but you're still obligating yourself or taking on projects or responsibilities that really are not serving your what I consider my higher good, or my higher purpose.
That's the pathway to burnout. So easy, so quickly.
Yep. So when you feel like I'm just saying yes to everything, and because I know I literally did that for so long, and then I was like, well, my calendar's full, but I'm empty.
Yeah, it has to be more than just a full bank account at the end of the day, because if you cry when you go home and you don't have any energy left for your family or for the things that you love to do that aren't grooming related, it's not a good trade. It's not a good trade. Melissa and I were sitting in a restaurant with Kate, and a woman came over and she's like, "What are you doing here in the middle of the day?" And I'm like, "Oh, well, we're working, we're doing whatever. We're having lunch." And she's like, "Well, you must make an awful lot of money." Or what did she say?
Yeah, she said that you guys must make a lot of money.
Money to just be sitting here eating lunch in the middle of the day.
Right.
And I'm like, well, I've shaped my life a lot around what I love to do, and I'm not willing to compromise on that. And she just thought, well, you're just independently wealthy. I feel like I'm independently wealthy. No, I don't have a huge mansion, but I feel like I have a good life balance.
Right.
I'm doing all the projects I want to do. What I do for money, I love. And I've set my parameters on that very well, I think. And I'm enjoying my life. And yes, I do have time to go out to lunch with friends in the middle of the day, in the middle of a work day.
But that's the wealth that you've worked towards.
Yes.
It's not a monetary goal. It's a life goal. Like how what you want your life to flow like.
Yeah. I said, and also another one popped up, and she asked me, well, I am so, she said, I'm so depressed because there's no chance of getting anywhere, saving any money, or doing this or doing that because of an outside factor, you know, Social Security or the taxes or the whatever, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, live your life so that you don't have to depend on Social Security. She's like, how's that going to happen? That's unreasonable, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, it's a choice. It's a choice.
Everything is a choice.
There's a story about a fisherman in a little Mexican village, and a big CEO was vacationing down there. And he's like, oh, man, you're such a good fisherman. You ought to fish more, and then you can buy boats. And he's like, and then what? He's like, oh, and then you can have a big company and you can move your operations and build and build and build. And then you can eventually end up in New York running all your businesses and this, that, and the other. He's like, and then what? And the executive says, well, then you get to retire and then spend more time with your family and just have to fish a little bit and ride around on your boat and and play with your grandkids. And he's like, but I'm doing that now.
Right.
He doesn't have to go through all that rigmarole. He's doing that now. He fishes enough to feed his family. He has time for his grandkids and to be with his wife and enjoy their life together. So if that's your goal, just to amass, you're losing a lot of life in between. You know, you have to make room for life while you're also building your nest egg or building your fortune. Life is more important than that ultimate bank account. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Live your life, because at the end of it, all that's going to go away anyway. You know, are you going to mix
with you? So
are you going to mix Scrooge it and just swim in your piles of money all alone and never having done anything that's worth anything to you?
And I learned a very valuable lesson when I was paid a very, very, very high salary for multiple years. And I learned who my friends were and who were just there for the party and for the stuff. As soon as I didn't have that job anymore, and this large group of people that I thought were all my really close friends evaporated.
Yeah.
And there was a very small amount of people who were like, we don't care. We love you. And those people are still remain in my life years later. Whereas the others just frittered away, you know, they didn't have time for that. So, a hard lesson where you feel like, but you wanted to be with me in the good, but when it wasn't, and it wasn't really that bad, but I wasn't at that level financially anymore. So I didn't have that abundance to spread around. And as soon as that was gone, those people were not there for that. And so when I had to say no, when my yeses had to turn to no, I'm sorry, I can't host. I can't do this. I can't, it's just not financially feasible for me. And those people went away. And so I had to renegotiate my worth with the people that I wanted to have in my circle. And I had to renegotiate with myself, what was valuable to me. And who I wanted to have in my circle. So life is always about choices and who we're choosing to negotiate with, even when we're negotiating with ourselves.
Truthfully.
Yeah. So it is always a negotiation. It is always choices. And sometimes when you have people around you telling you yes all the time, yes, do this. Yes, this is great for you. Yes, this. But then.
And you step off into quicksand.
And you step off into quicksand. Let me tell you, sister, I was in quicksand. those yes people are no longer there because you no longer serve them. You don't have the value for them for what they needed from you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's sometimes a really hard pill to swallow.
Yeah.
And you have to come back to the fact that, not everyone and not every opportunity is for your higher good or your highest purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And
that
so
song sometimes you don't
like
get
that,
what you want, but you get what you need.
right.
Yeah.
Yep. And nothing shows how quickly people can become a turncoat
Mm-hmm.
when you no longer serve a purpose for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of people are like moths to the light.
Yeah.
They want to rub shoulders with greatness, and not really think about themselves, what they're doing, what they need out of it, and respecting, people get there through whatever means. Doesn't mean that they're going to make you good. They're going to make you great. You make yourself great.
Exactly.
You make yourself into the person that you're going to be. And the correct people, your audience, your clientele, your people will see that and they'll find you. They will be transparent, be honest, and have logic and reason,
Well, I think things come in seasons, just
Mm-hmm.
like, well, we're both gardeners, so we see things that way anyway. But I really, truly believe that people come in and out of your life in seasons.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was in full-blown spring and I had all this around me. And then I went into a winter of solace, just completely by myself. And those few were happy to be there through those, through that winter. Mm-hmm. And they were like, we'll bundle up with you, borrow Absolutely. Our jacket, Take my boots, I will carry you through this. When others were like, nope, it's cold, it's not what I want. It's not, you're
not shiny right now.
Yeah, you're not shiny right now. And so sometimes it's important to know KNOW, know when to say NO.
Absolutely. Yeah. And pull back and always be looking at your own priorities. Are they correct? Mm-hmm. Are they going to take you where you really want to go? Or are you being carried by the wind of a crowd, the whim of people you think are going to take you there? You take you there. I was sitting in another restaurant and the waitress came up to me, asked what my order would be, and this, that, and the other. And I always say, oh, well, how was your day going? She says, oh, it's my birthday. I hope my boyfriend buys me that purse that I want. And I was like, buy your own purse. Yeah. You got a job, buy your own. She's like, right, we don't need no man, right? I'm like, oh, no, you do. You do need a man. But not to buy you a purse.
Exactly.
And she was like, oh, and she didn't think about that angle before. Buy your own purse. Get your own stuff. Do it on your own merit.
Right. For your own self.
And you will be well respected and you will be in the place that you want to be. You can't ride someone else or expect someone else to bring you merit. Right. Merit comes from your actions, your words, your accomplishments that you do on your own. And those are more important than any other merit I can think of.
Well, I think it falls under a self-respect.
Mm-hmm.
You learn to respect yourself and respect your judgment and respect what you want or what you need in your life. And then you start to build from that. But if you allow talking heads to tell you this is what you should be doing, this is how you should be doing it, this is, and then you're following someone else's path for you, you're eventually going to turn around and be like, how the hell did I
want to do this anymore?
Right. This is not what I thought I want. This is not what I started out to want. And myself being on that road, turning around and being like, hey, where'd everybody go?
Right. I don't even want to be here. I
Yeah.
wanted to go over there originally, and now
Right.
I'm over here and I feel kind of stuck. So
Right.
then you have to forge a path and be on the path that you want to be on.
And
And
you
yeah,
have
it's
to say
scary.
no. You have to
Yeah,
be
you
able.
have to be able to say no, and you have to say, okay, I'm going to take accountability for the
Right.
choices that I made. Now I'm going to
Absolutely.
make better choices today so my tomorrow will look better.
I have a magnet on my refrigerator that literally says, tomorrow is a new day with no mistakes in it. So perfect. I see it every morning when I go to the
A
fridge.
clean slate so I can make all the mistakes tomorrow.
Exactly. Because I am going to make mistakes. I am going to screw things up. It is human nature. To the degree, it depends on the choices that I make that day. But it gives me hope to know that I have another day ahead of me, that I actually have the ability to say yes or no to different things or different people or different opportunities. And that just because it looks shiny and it smells amazing and it is high on everyone's list doesn't necessarily mean it's the shiny, smell good thing that should be high on your list.
Mm-hmm.
Not every opportunity is a one size fits all.
Right. Yeah. I agree with that. I agree with that completely. I think that we go through and we see even the education that we take. And let's be honest,
Yeah.
education is not for everyone. Not all education is for everyone, I should
Right.
say. It's not one size fits all. Sometimes an instructor will really inspire you, and it's not even anything that you want to do, but they inspire you to do what you do. So while I do recommend getting as much education as you can, if somebody doesn't sit right with you or gives you the ick, I guess is the language now, don't spend time on learning from that person if nothing they have is of value to you.
Right.
There's no sense in it. But if you do find some sense in it, if you do find value, then absolutely invest your time and your dollars in that direction. There's so much education available nowadays that you can invest in. And if you have an empty spot and you want to learn more, learn more. If you are at an impasse, some people, the majority of people, this blows me away every time that I think about it, but I know it's true. The majority of groomers have never been to a show.
Right. Yeah, I think it's something like
It freaks me out, but it's true.
Like 5% of the entire
amount.
industry, right, goes to an actual expo, which is
Yeah.
just crazy.
I know. And you ask somebody, oh, just like so-and-so said in their class. And they're like, who? And I'm just like, phew. So, we have a mission. I have a mission. I want to reach those groomers, I want to help them help themselves. So I've been busy trying to reach a different clientele. We are quite an echo chamber. We're a small community in the industry.
Yes.
All of us are very tiny. We're a tiny industry. And we sometimes can be quite an echo chamber, and we're only listening to ourselves and not really having any new perceptions, new questions, new anything coming in. So sometimes it's best to try to expand yourself a little bit and reach people who wouldn't normally hear what you have to say, who've never been to a show, who aren't educated about proportion or standard trims or whatever. I think it's important to maybe reach out to those people.
I just think it's important to find your tribe of people. And sometimes you have to go through a lot of no's. You have to go through and be like, no, actually, I don't really think you are for me. I think that, you might like the idea of this, but it's not really something that what I call wishy-washy people. They're just non-committal to anything.
Or they make a bunch of big promises and then it turns out to nothing.
Yeah. Or the ones that read you so well, and then they're what I like to call the carrot danglers.
Mhm.
And they find out what it is that are your hopes and your dreams and the things that you would like to accomplish. And they will dangle those little nuggets of those things in front of you to keep you going on, yet they don't produce.
Mhm.
But they have you hooked enough that you continuously run on that wheel, trying to reach it.
Mhm.
And so,
Yeah.
and it takes discernment. You have to really step outside of that for a moment and say, is this really for me? Are they really being good to me, or are they being good to me for this reason only?
Their own ends, yeah.
Right. So
Yeah. And there's
again,
nothing wrong with being who you are, grooming
right,
how you want to groom,
exactly.
giving the services that you want to give in your own flair. There's always going to be people telling you, well, that's not the right way to do it.
Yeah.
That's the wrong way. You're doing it wrong. You're not charging enough, or you're charging, too much, or whatever it is.
Just go into a Facebook group. Just go into a Facebook group and go, how much should I charge for 35 pounds, miniature
Yeah.
poodle?
Yeah.
Oh my God, there'll be 10,000 responses. Everything from you shouldn't even be grooming to you should be charging the most that you can. And it's just insane. So a lot of times it's easy to just do that and let other people dictate what you should be doing and how you should be doing it. But ultimately, we need to step outside of that and go
Say,
inside.
is this who I am?
Right. And go inside.
Is this how I want to present myself to the world, to my community, to my clients? I prefer doing things the way I want to do them now. I'm very secure in myself as a person, as an educator, as a skilled esthetician. I think that I'm going to do things my way. And I love input, and I'm willing to banter, and I'm willing to debate pieces of science or this, that, and the other. But all in all, I think that I found a working way of being my true, authentic self. And I have never been happier. The people who surround you should be your cheerleaders, should be good mentors, should be good colleagues. And the ones who are just trying to milk you out of something so they can benefit, they have to fall by the wayside. It's time to move on when you find that the relationship isn't working. And believe me, it's a business relationship. They're not friends. Business is business. And along the way,
that's a hard lesson.
It is hard. But along the way, you will find true colleagues. You will find true friends. You will find all those things. But in the midst of that, you'll find a lot of people who are just trying to benefit off of your skills, your mindset, your name, your whatever. And they got to go unless they're compensating you and you feel good about it.
Well,
as soon as you stop
thank
feeling good,
you for that caveat. Is that and you feel good about it, because
right? But as soon as you don't feel good about it anymore, it's time to go. It's time to either renegotiate or just leave the scene and do your own thing, because you are valuable. You are skilled. You're an educator. All groomers are educators. We educate clients every single day. We educate dogs how to be groomed on the table. We educate each other all the time. Hey, or let me show you how to do a clean foot better than that, or faster than that, or let me show you a different technique and see if it works for you. We are educators, from the person just coming in up to the person who's been doing it for 60 years or whatever. So, we just have to take stock. How you give your style, how you give your way of doing things should feel good. You should never feel desperate. You shouldn't feel like, oh my God, I have to do this way, or people aren't going to like me. We are an entire industry of imposter syndrome people. And we have to get over that. You are valuable. You're valuable. As far as I'm concerned, if you groom dogs and love them and love their clients, you're valuable to me. You're valuable. And it doesn't matter if you've just been in the game for 6 months or 6 years or 60 years. It doesn't matter. You are beloved by me because you've made that. Now, sometimes personalities don't always mesh, and we may clash on several things. That doesn't mean I hate you. It means that I intrinsically find value in what you do. We just don't see the same things from the same perspective. So it's time that we stop the imposter syndrome BS and start just loving each other and loving ourselves just a little bit more, and valuing what we do, so that when we do have those offers coming in, we can negotiate fairly so that we don't feel robbed or,
or manipulated.
Yeah.
Or some people will really just feel like they're being undermined, and they're just like, they don't want to pay me my worth, but it's an opportunity. No, it's not an opportunity. If it really is not going to serve whatever the message is that you're trying to put out there, then you need to know how to say no in a way that is still, I'm grateful for you thinking of me, but however, I realize that this just isn't for me right now. And there should not ever be a stigma or shame in that.
Right.
I think as groomers, so many of us are caretakers, and we're just needy people. We want to be loved. That's why we love the dogs. That's why we do what we do. And I think it's hard for us.
And we need validation.
Yeah.
We need validation that we're okay. A lot of us,
Right.
Michelle Evans said it the best. All groomers are a little bit crazy. And even if they look like they got their stuff together, it's in there. That's a direct quote. And I believe her. I believe her.
I was going to say, it's a perfect quote. So
we all have a little bit of trauma, a little bit of crazy, a little bit of hurt that we're working with, which is probably what drives us all to work with animals, because the honesty of working with an animal is much better than the pseudo honesty we get with working with humans. But yeah, I think there's a lot of merit to that. And I think that we can turn that around, because the dogs will heal you if you let them.
Oh, absolutely. I believe that for sure. Just tell yourself, if you don't believe it, tell yourself every day, I am worth every penny of whatever your fee is. Whether it's, you're setting up a new business and you're venturing out on your own, or you're working for an owner that doesn't want to pay you your worth, and you don't know how to find the words to articulate. You need to start with you. If you don't believe in yourself and you don't believe it, no one else.
No one else will. No one else will. Absolutely. And it comes from you. Absolutely. You think that somebody tore you down, or you think that somebody made you so you can't groom, or you can't do right, or this, that, and the other. That's all you. That's all you. No one can make you see the light. No one can make your choices for you. No one can make you feel any kind of way. If somebody makes you feel some kind of way, it's time to look inward a little bit and say, you know what? How can I choose better? How can I think about myself differently that brings me to peace? Because that's really all we want, right? We want peace. We want prosperity. We want to be okay and feel good in our skin. And I think that if we attain awareness of that, I think it's a lot easier to turn around and make better choices for yourself, make healthier choices.
Right.
So that we don't feel like everybody around us is tearing us down and being mean to us, a little bit of self-work, self-reflection.
And honestly, sometimes you have to piss off somebody else to get your peace.
And that's their issue, not yours.
Right, exactly. Exactly. That's what I meant by that, was that then that's triggering some trauma in them that they need to look inward and figure out why. But we need to also stop taking on other people's opinions and labels and all those things, and just come as you are. And sometimes you have to come, you're not even going to the party. You have to say, thanks for the invite, but I'm not going to
stay home in PJs.
So, and there's no shame in that.
No.
And you need to come to that, and you need to tell yourself that that's okay.
Yeah, definitely. And I think we'll all come out is a win. You know,
Yeah.
gather your people close, gather your haters away from you, and keep on keeping on. Say yes when it feels right. Say no when it. Until next time, my lovelies, we love you. We will talk at you some more. And may your next sip be just as delicious as your last. We'll see you next time.
Bye.